Hello everyone, Aaron again. This is just a pre-video to the video you're about to watch. And I just want to tell you real quick about, and some of you guys that have been following me know this. I have a concept called lay it down range. Lay it down range only says this: before I decide what gun I want, before I even turn the page on that, what I need to do is to determine, one, what am I going to be using it for? How far I'm going to shoot it, how much power do I need at the end of that period, at the end of that distance, to take care of what I need to take care of. Okay, and with that, it's a guiding point. It's a starting point. Now, I effect the very end of this. The people on the top end are pushing products up there, and I'm trying my best to say something to the people that are marginal or down here. Hey, if you want to go out there and shoot guns and you want to have a lot of fun with it, you don't want to break the bank, here's the way to go. That's all. And so the things I push and the things I talk about them with affection. Because one, I like them, and two, they servicing me well, and three, they didn't cost much. Okay? So as I go into this video, please understand, lay it down range says I need to tell you what are the best products out there for the cheapest money that is out there. And if you buy one, I'll buy one too, and I'll be the first to buy it. And if anything goes wrong with this thing at all, I will put a video up that evening. Here's the video that evening. Hello everyone, Aaron again. Today I'm mourning. I'm in mourning for my Young Heng's compressor, which recently passed away. And I guess I could explain it a little bit further. It really didn't pass away. What happened was there was a strange noise starting to come from the piston area down here, and it started to really lose its ability to pressurize my tank. Now I know that there's a lot of things out there where I could have revived this. They sell all the parts you need in there, plus I got all the O-rings in there. If it was an O-ring problem, I probably would have tackled it. And the reason I would have known it was the O-ring compressor is everything would have been running well, but it was just not compressed. That means that somewhere in here, one of the O-rings had failed. Probably due to heat, because heat is one of the things that can kill this, and we'll talk about that later. But this thing is so cheap, and I don't want to take the hours and hours to take this whole thing apart and figure out what the problem is and put in all the O-rings and all that. The thing is $235 delivered. Now, when I bought this one, it was $198 delivered. And so, rather than do that, I'd rather just go ahead and buy another one, which I already did. I did a video on that a while back. So I do have a reserve for this one. So, and I said in that video that, hey, in case this thing ever fails, I want to have another one on standby. And now we're at that point where it has failed. Let me talk about a little history of this. Now, there's two things that I got beat up on and asked a lot of questions about when I introduced them on my channel years ago. One of them was the Yong compressor. People were saying, that old cheap Chinese compressor. And the other one was the P15 with the same comments. That old cheap Chinese P15 can't compare to the other guns that you have, like at that time, my Impact and my Wildcat FXs. And I'm here today to tell you that 5 years later, this thing just died, okay? And my P15s, all of them, still working well with only a change in one O-ring in the field port. So, just wanted to throw that in. But basically, let's talk about this a little bit more. Now, like I said, when I bought this thing, I paid $200 for it. I had it for over 5 years. That's $40 a year that this thing costs me. Okay, I have a tank. Every time I take that tank in, that tank is $10 to get filled. Okay, so if I took that thing in 4 times, it would equal this. And I think over 5 years, I would have had those tanks filled a lot more than that, many guns as I have and as much as I shoot. So this thing has done its job for me, and I can't say anything bad about it. And that's why I have another one in reserve for it right now. But let me just say this about it, though, in terms of how you can make this thing last if you do have one and decide to get one. There's only 3 things that can kill this thing, in my opinion. The first one is overtaxing it. And what I mean by overtaxing it is this. There are people out there, they get this thing, and this thing is rated to 4,500 PSI. And they'll get one and say, oh, this thing is rated to 4,500 PSI. And they'll fill a tank with it. Yeah, it's going to last for a little while. But if you push this thing to 4,500 PSI, it's going to fail you. Okay? And just think about it for a minute. Okay? This thing costs $235. My original one, $200. And you're going to take something that costs $200 and you're going to push it to 4,500 PSI? It just doesn't make sense. And I've seen Omegas. And an Omega, at that particular time, was the highest end you could get. Not sure about now. A lot of people coming out with them. But it was $1,500. And I saw that thing fail because it was being pushed to 4,500 PSI. Just because it had on there that it could do it. You know, your car has 120 miles an hour. And most cars have 120 miles an hour on the odometer. Okay? Take your car out every day and stomp it. Every chance you get, just floor it. And get that thing revved as high as you can. And tell me how long it's going to last you. But anyway, that's just common sense. But let me just get back to it. Okay, so overtaxing this thing. I never overtaxed it. The highest I will push this thing to on my tank. And let me show you my tank and talk about that for a second. Let me just stop this and come back and show you something. Okay, we're back, and I just want to show you my combination of how I really kind of helped save this thing. First of all, this is my big tank. Okay. I did a video on this way back if you want to go back and look it up. But this is my big tank. I do not fill this thing with this. I will never even attempt to fill this with this. I take this fella here to the scuba store and have it filled to 4,500 PSI. And I do this about maybe once, twice a year. Because I really don't use it that much, but in a pinch, I sometimes use it to fill my smaller tank or something like that if I don't want to use the compressor. But this is what I keep on hand with 4,500 PSI in it. And I use that sparingly. Put that down. Now over here, this is my little one. Again, I got this one. Both of these are firefighters, rescue tanks that after a while, they trade them out and get new ones, and then they sell these on eBay. I bought the one down there for I think $90. I think I paid $30 or $40 for this one, and then I had to make an adapter for it. But I think I did a video on that, so you can go back and look at that too, if you want to go the cheap way and just buy one of these. But anyway, this is the one that I fill with the tank. Okay, I fill this, but I only fill it to 3,500 PSI. I would never fill this thing to any more than 3,500 PSI because I got a 4,500 there. 3,500 is good. I use it all the way down to 28. Then I blow it back up to 35. I can blow it up anytime I want, so I don't need to tax this thing to push this to 4,500 PSI. So that's what I show you my combination for that. Now, I do have guns over there by 2FXs. They both hold, I think, 4,500 PSI, 40 or 4,500 PSI. Okay, I can fill those with that tank. If that tank is that down at 30 or something like that, I can fill that to 4,500 PSI with this easily. But for the most part, I don't do that. What I do is I fill those guns with my smallest tank to 3,500 PSI, and then I get my big tank and fill it the next all the way up to 4,500 PSI if I want to take it that far. But again, I do the same thing with my FXs. My FXs are classified to 4,500 PSI, and I think their working pressure, that's the working pressure. But the safety pressure on that thing is 7,000 PSI. But I'm still not gonna push that tank to 4,500 PSI. I'm not gonna never push anything to the max. I get more than enough shots out of it. So anyway, that's the combination of the thing I'm saying. Do not overtax this thing, because that's one way you can kill it. Another way you can kill it is using either the wrong oil in it or not watching your oil and changing it on time. Now, when I got mine, I've heard people saying they were putting all kind of stuff in here, 10W30 and all that. I said, did they read the instructions? Because on my instructions, unless they've changed it, this called for high temperature hydraulic oil, and that's what I used in it. And like I said, it served me for 5 years. So read the instructions on it, and if it says 10W30, go ahead and put it in there. But I don't think it's going to say that. I think it's going to tell you to put hydraulic oil in this and get the best oil you can for it. And then what you want to do, once you get the good oil in there, it's got a little window down here. Watch that window, because when you put that oil in, the oil I get, luckily, it is it's just a kind of goldish, clear gold. Okay, so I can look at that and I can look down here, and as soon as what I do, I don't even go on how many long I've been running this. As soon as that thing started to change color a little bit, time for another oil change. Because it doesn't take anything to top this thing off. So make sure that you put the right oil in it and make sure you change the oil on time. The third way you can kill this thing, and the easiest way to kill it, to me, is overheating. And overtaxing leads to overheating. Okay, I've heard people tell me they wrap things on here like aluminum foil to dissipate heat. I've heard people say that they put antifreeze, ran antifreeze through it instead of water in order to cut down the heat, and all kinds of things to try to cut it down. Well, let me tell you this: the best way to keep the heat down on this thing is to take the pump you have with it, let it run the water through. Now, if you want to some people say put ice water in it. You can put ice water in it. If you put ice water in it and you melt the ice, I guarantee you filling your tanks way up. Mine never get that hot. But let me tell you one secret to really help this thing down. I don't care what you run through here, antifreeze, ice water, whatever. Take your finger, do it real quick, and either touch that high pressure or that high pressure. Okay, the bottom one here or the top one. This is intermediate pressure. It's going to get hot, but it's going to not get nearly as hot. But this bottom tube and this top tube, which is coming directly out of the cylinder, is going to get so hot. Now, what I do is this. I take a rag and wrap it around this, all the way around this, and all the way around this, and put a little bit on the cylinder. And I just keep that damp. Okay? And what you're going to find is as you're filling it, you're going to see steam rising. Okay? Steam. Okay? I think it's 220 degrees of steam. Okay? That means that this thing is at 220 degrees, and this is at 220 degrees as the steam, and higher as the steam starts to come off. Okay? But with that steam, you're dissipating a lot of heat that won't dissipate it no matter what you run through here with that pump. So try to keep these two tubes as cool as you can, and that's another key to taking care of this thing. So 3 things. 1, don't overtax it. 2, use the right oil and change it often. 3, keep the heat down as much as possible. And the best way to keep the heat down is to not use anything intricate in the cooling system, but to try to keep these 2 pipes and this cylinder thing up here as cool as you can while in operation. Okay, so with that, let me just talk a little bit more about this. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. I just wanted to go take a quick look at YouTube and some of the SHOT Show information that's coming out and some other things to see how many other compressors are out there. And there's a ton of them now. I mean, when this thing came out, it had very little competition. And then a few years later, after this thing was such a success and everybody was buying it, then all of a sudden a lot of people decided, hey, we need to get in this game. And the only way we're going to get in this game is try to come up with a compressor that's comparable to this one at a price range just comparable to this one. So there's a lot of them out there now. And I would say, take a look at them. Ventura has some great ones out. They got the ones that you can do it if you're in the field. You can hook it to your battery of your car and pump something up. And if you don't have a tank and you're not going to get a tank, you don't want to invest in a tank, I say go with that particular pump, because now you can pump it up at home and you can pump it up in the field. But here's another thing. How long does it take to pump up something up? This thing here is pretty fast. I have not timed it on taking my little tank down there from 28 to 3,500 psi, but I can tell you, it doesn't take a long time. So you might want to look at that. Don't look at just the pump. How quickly does it work? And the quicker it works, the less it's gonna have to work. And I know they got these out there now that have no oil in them, and they're air cooled. And I just don't know, air cooled on something that builds up this much pressure. But again, I'm not telling you not to get anything else. There's a lot of stuff out there. Go get it if you want to get it. But for me, for $235, you're not gonna beat this little fella. And like anything else in your life, if you treat it right, it's gonna do you good. You treat it wrong, it's gonna leave you. All right. So with that, I just wanted to come out and tell you that my baby here has finally died, and it is fixable. I could go get the parts. They got all the parts on eBay. So if you got one of these, you're a fix-it person, and it breaks down on you, go on eBay. They sell everything in there, from the piston to the piston rings to all of the, and it comes with all of your O-rings, and fix it yourself. And if you was in my neighborhood, you could have this one and try to fix it, because I'm not going to, because I guarantee you, in time, it's going to cost a lot more than $235 between with your parts and all the time you're going to have taken this thing apart and put it back together. Now I may take it apart just to see how it works. Just go and empty the oil out and take the whole thing apart just to see how it works. But that'll be the only reason I'll go inside it, not to try to repair it. So with that, I just wanted to bring you the news. I know two things I said. When I got my P15s and I was recommending that, I told you if my P15s ever broke or ever gave me any trouble at all, I would do a video immediately. In 5 years, I've done one video on the P15. And that was the field valve O-ring. As it will with all guns, will go out over time because you're just filling them, and eventually that O-ring is going to go. That's the only time I've ever done fixed a video on the P15, and I got 3 of them, and I had those for over 4 years, I'm sure, or pretty close to 5. Same thing here. When I got this, I said, hey, if there's ever a problem with this thing, I'm going to tell you about it. I'm going to do a video on it, video fix on it. I did one video fix on it, and that was my error. When I was keeping it wet up here, some water spilled down on the switch over there. And when it spilled down on the switch, it rusted it inside, and so it wouldn't stay on. Went inside, took the rust off, put it back together, and it was working okay. So for these things to be so cheap, if you treat them right, they're going to do everything you need them to do. And I tell you this, you compare this at $235 shipped, okay, compared to a tank that you have to buy that's going to cost you anywhere from, I've seen them around $5.99 to $8.99 if you want to buy the standard ones. If you want to go online and get one like I did and be cheap and get one like I did that the firefighters used, it's going to save you a lot more money, but then you gotta make a fitting for them. But so with that, I'm just going to let you go. I just want to talk to you about the death of my baby here. And as they say, the king is dead. Long live the king. The king is dead. Got one right over there. Long live the king. You guys keep it safe, and I'll be back with another video soon.